Yo, what's up everybody, Nice with you here, bringing you my first impression of Vinland Saga anime review. This is episode 1, titled Somewhere. Now this episode, before I get into this, I just want to give a disclaimer. I do not read the manga. This is another anime on my channel I'm going to review that I do not read the manga to, so just letting you know, so if I pronounce name wrong or I get certain things misconstrued, forgive me. Just wanted to state that real quick, and also to state that I don't really know much about it. All I know is that this is a really, really good series, and supposedly people put it up there with series that I consider legendary. They put it up there with the Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter. They put it in that type of category, Berserk. They put it up there that high. A lot of anime people that I've been talking to, some older people, some younger people, but a lot of people have been telling me a lot of good things about it. They haven't given no spoilers, luckily, but they just told me that it's a really good series, and if you like Berserk, Hunter x Hunter, or anything realistic based that's just done in an anime style, this is it for you. So I was like, okay, let me give it a shot since this is the first episode. And oh boy, it did not disappoint at all. It starts off kind of weird because we get to see, I believe he's the main character, which is kind of weird because we never get a main character this old. But we see he's not an old man, but he's like in his mids. He's probably like 30 or 40. And his name's Thor. And he's sleeping on like a nice grassy field with the sun setting on him. And somebody calls his name to wake up. He wakes up, he looks around, and he sees his wife in the distance. And it looks like she's holding a baby. But the sun is on her, so you really can't see her face or what she's holding. But she calls him over, and when he walks over, he bumps into something, and it sounds like metal. It has that clank noise. So he looks down, and I'm thinking it's a bear trap. And it was actually a dead soldier's body. He kicked him in the head. It was the helmet that made that clink noise. And he wakes up, and he realizes that he's in war. And basically, like the first 5 or 6 minutes after, this couple second scene here in the opening, he's basically in war fighting against other people. Now, they don't state why he's fighting these other people. He's just there with some of his friends fighting them. But after the fight's done, it's like we kind of like skip a little bit to the ahead of the future, and we never get like any clarification of what was going on there. But we get to see him back home with his wife, which her name I believe is Hagada or Hago. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it wrong. He also has a daughter, Yuvi, and a son named Thorfinn. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. This is supposed to be in Iceland, and they have a lot of like Viking type names, and I'm really bad with names, so every time I write it down I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, so forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. Let me know down below, please. But he's with his family, and we get to see how he is at the house with his family, and he still has like this emotion in his face. Like, he does things and he says things, but there's like no emotion to this man's face. It's like his emotion is like dead. Maybe that's the soldier in him, and he's trying to make this life new. I was thinking of one of my favorite movies, Patreon. If anyone's seen Patreon with I can't believe I forgot that guy's name. I almost said Bruce Willis. Not Bruce Willis. I forgot his name. But anyone who's seen the movie Patreon, if you notice, Patreon in the movie, he gave up his past as a warrior and in the war as a soldier, and he wanted to be a house husband and take care of his sheep and his wife and his kids and stuff. But thanks to mixed fortune, something bad happens that he ends up reverting back to his past. So I'll get in kind of like the Patriot vibe with this. And I'm like, okay, let's see where we're going with this. And everything seems to be going fine until it was stated that his wife is getting more sick, and now she can't do house chores and she's in bed. And the daughter was like, with the father taking snow from the roof down, because this is like one of their coldest winters, and they worried about, since the winter keeps getting colder and colder, how long do they have to live here? And she was like, do we have a slave? Can we get one? And excuse me, the father is like, no, he's against slavery, so he doesn't want to own a slave, even though they live in a land where you can buy a slave. And it doesn't look like they're poor. especially since they couldn't afford a slave, supposedly, coming from the daughter's mouth. But the father just against this, so he said no. So that shows that he's a pretty decent man. The fact that he's not against slavery, and I mean the fact that he is against slavery and like being biased towards people, it shows that he's a good person. You don't see no bad guy with those type of traits. So even though he's a big, tall, husky dude, and he might look like he could play a bad guy, but so far I'm getting like good vibes from him. Like he's a good person. Maybe one badass soldier, but a good person nonetheless. You know, never confuse somebody just because of their career, and never say, well, if this is your career, this automatically makes you a bad person. Because a lot of times people pick a career, and a lot of times they don't really like it. They just end up picking it because they're young, and that's what they pick, and they usually stay with it. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. So maybe that's the scenario for him. Again, I'm just guessing here and there because we get a lot of information about how they want to go to Vinland, which is a land where, of course, where they get the name from of the title. And supposedly this land is always warm, and when they go there, there's supposed to be fruits and vegetables and a good land to grow stuff. It's nothing like their land of Iceland, which is just complete cold and dead and horrible weather and winds and stuff like that, and it's getting worse and worse. And then that's surrounded by bodies of water constantly, which makes tidal wave and other things come up. So, and you know, we have this one guy named Leaf, if I'm pronouncing his name right, hopefully, or Left, and he's telling the kids about how he a brave warrior, and he traveled to like another place of Vinland, and he gets to meet the chief of some natives there, and they give him this like leaf helmet, feather helmet, to prove that he's a great warrior and that he was helpful to them. But the kids caught on to his BS and were just making fun of him and stuff. So that was kind of funny. That was a funny moment. Another funny moment we have is with the sister. She snuck into her brother's bed because, like I said, this is Iceland and it's really, really cold, and they live in a hut. So she snuck in her brother's bed and she was sleeping. And it's funny because when they were sleeping, she was like strangling him. And in his dream, he was being a sailor going to Vinland. And he was doing pretty good until an octopus monster came up and started squeezing him and hugging him. And when he wakes up, he realizes it's his sister. So that was another funny moment. There is a couple of funny moments. That's two just to give you that. But then something very interesting happened going back to the sister. She actually found a slave after she was asking her father for one. And the father kept on desperately trying to bring this man back. And he gets to succeed. But the problem is when he's bringing this man back to life, something on their port side of their city, this guy named Halfdan, if I'm pronouncing it right, he comes by and he talks to the chief, and he was like, look, a slave of mine's got away. I'm looking for him. Have you seen him? And everybody is saying no and trying to get rid of him. But the daughter stepped in and she kind of snitched that they had the slave because she was expecting for them to get a reward. But when Dan Fan went to the house and he asked for the slave back, the dad wasn't too happy, and the dad was like, how much did you pay for him? He was like, 2 sheeps. He's like, well, I'll give you 3 sheeps and I think 2 doves. And he was like, I want my slave back. I need to use him as an example for the other slave. And he's like, fine then, I'll give you 4 sheeps and 4 doves. And the man, the Halfdan, just looks at him and was like, you really gonna pay all this for a man on death's door? You really are pathetic. But he's like, oh well, whatever, it's a great deal, I take it. But I'm gonna be the ones to pick the sheeps and the doves. And he walks out with his people from the house. And you have Uriel, the daughter, she's just there and she's upset that the dad, they didn't give the slave back because she was hoping for him to do that so they could get a profit of it. Saying, hey look, we found your slave and we took care of him. But her plan backfired. The daughter seems kind of, I wouldn't say douchey, but she seems kind of, I guess, I don't really know how to feel about the daughter. She's like, that was kind of a douchey move to do what she did. But it's understandable. They don't know nothing about this guy. He could be a criminal for all we know. So it kind of makes sense. She was looking out for her family and for her own well-being. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense in her standpoint. But then if you look at the father's standpoint, his makes sense too. So it's kind of hard to judge and pick who's right and wrong. But after that, that was basically the end of the episode. We got one more scene when the son asks the father, because he dies a couple of seconds later and they bury him, and the sister's crying, which is another funny moment, because the brother was like, why are you so sad? And she was like, because father's an idiot, he could have took the money. And she started crying again. It was funny. But basically the father and the son, which is Thor and Thorfinn, had a conversation, and he ended up telling his son something. I forgot what it was, but it's about, you know, that land of Vinland, that they want to find a place that's safe from war and stuff and slavery to go to. And it just ends off with them thinking about Vinland. But we get one more final scene before we get the credits. A very important scene. The father actually has a treasure box under the shed in the back, and in there we get to see what's in there, and there's nothing but like his sword and blade weapons and stuff like that from when he was in the war. So that's gonna most likely play a role later on, because in the anime credits we get to see a blonde-haired man with dual daggers, and supposedly he's the main character, but I'm not sure if that's Thorfinn, the son of Thor, when he's older. Is this another character, or maybe it's the sister pretending to be the boy, and that's her? I don't know who that is, because like I said, I don't read the manga, and the people who told me this was a really good series just hyped it up and compared it to other manga. They ain't really give me no spoilers, because they know I don't like spoilers. So, but yeah, my first impression of Vinland Saga, really good, really intense. The art, the animation, the music, the sound, the voice acting, everything was just really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I actually am kind of tempted to pick up the manga, but I'm gonna hold off first because I want to be an anime only for this and get that experience. Now, if I hear people start complaining that they're switching some things around, then I might jump to the source material. But for now, I want to stay an anime only, so please no spoilers down below for those that are manga readers. But just correct me if I pronounce any names wrong, because I'm bad with names. And tell me also, that person with the blonde hair who has the dual daggers, is that Thorfinn when he's older? Is that his sister like pretending to be like some type of Mulan, a girl that's pretending to be a boy warrior or something like that? Or is that a completely whole new character or something? Because I noticed we saw him in the opening, but we didn't get to see this guy in the first episode. So is he gonna not be in the first episode? I mean, I heard from people that he's the main character. I mean, I even saw the manga first cover, and he's on it with the dual blade, so it's kind of weird that he wasn't in the first episode. So if I'm mistaken of anything and he's not one of those two kids or another character, just let me know with less possible spoilers. But yeah, this was a really good first episode. I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. Again, I'm very pleased with it, so I can't wait to review next week episode 2 when we get there. But that's all I have for you guys. Tell me down below what you like and didn't like. Again, if I pronounced any name wrong, I'm sorry. Just let me know what the names, how you pronounce them. Tell me, like, is this gonna be like a battle war series? Because in the opening, you saw a whole bunch of warriors and bloodshed and a lot of people that look like Vikings. I mean, this is supposed to take place in the old days in Iceland, so it makes sense. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Just have a good one and peace out.